Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's 7th of July market debrief. What we have on the screen right now is the S&P 500 index, and I've mentioned this for many months that the Singapore US market is one of the strongest market and is right now is still on a strong upward trend. Okay, and it has been in a very big move or rally move for the past 2 weeks. All right, so last night we are just seeing a first sign of so-called pullback, with a red day and a higher or increased volume, meaning to say traders are taking profit from this rally. All right, so we might probably see some pullbacks in the near term, in the coming next few days to a week. All right, so now this rally, right, has mainly been pushed by the tech stocks, okay, the big cap tech stocks, technological companies, and that's what is driving the Nasdaq 100 to a much bigger move as compared to the S&P 500 index. Okay, so if we look at the US companies, what are stocks that are really moving and pushing this is these are the big caps, your Apple, your Adobe, Amazon, so-called your Facebook and Google, okay, into it. Okay, so these are the companies, right, that is pushing this so-called S&P 500, right, to new highs. Okay, so if we just have to be wary because a lot of these companies are already at its very high P ratio, very high valuation as compared to its previous averages. The music is still running. Okay, we do not know when the music will stop. Okay, so as long as this is still running, people will still be continuously trading the US market and pushing the price much higher. Okay, so for our Asia market is a different story. Previously last week I mentioned that Hong Kong market, Chinese market is like getting ready to move, and then what we have is that China's government is starting to do some crackdown on tech companies, your Didi, Alibaba, Kuaishou, Tencent Holding, Meituan, all this whole sector tech companies, especially the big ones. Basically, China is investigating into them mainly on data, monopoly laws, and cyber security. So they are using all this, right, to clamp down, and there are lots of speculation that probably China, they want to find, they need money, revenue, or they want greater control in all these companies, because all these companies have great inroads into the West. Okay, so not too sure what's the gameplay, but I mean this should provide a good opportunity if you are in for the a long-term view on China's growth. Okay, so if you're looking at like getting into Alibaba, which I've talked about last week, all this valuation, this company's valuation will be depressed in the short-term period. Okay, so these are some of the opportunity. So but the thing is, despite all those news that are coming up over the past 2 days, we have China rallying back up today. Okay, so this is the Shanghai Composite Index. So I'm not too sure what it says about this. So what I've mentioned in the past 2 weeks is that it's still trading in the sideways movement for the Hong Kong and China market. Okay, so Hong Kong right now is basically trading right at its support region of 27,500 area. Okay, so I've mentioned it's been trading on the sideways in this manner between 27,500 to 29,500. So they're basically trading in this area. Okay. So for our Singapore index, I mean yesterday it gives a very short-term rally, a one-day wonder, and then today, the market gave back all its gain, from yesterday. So mainly this move is done by the banks, your DBS, OCBC, and UOB. Okay, so but the thing is, overall, the general market, it seems that people or investors are thinking that the overall situation should be in control, and I think they are confident that the governments around the world is able to clamp down on any outbreaks. So the like recent outbreaks in Hong Kong and China, Singapore, The governments are managed to clamp down on them, I would say, quite efficiently to stop the spread and thus allowing the economy or the markets or free movement for people. Okay, so they are looking into opening up borders, especially Singapore and Hong Kong. This two countries has been highly anticipated kind of border crossing. Okay, so well, we'll see how it goes. Okay, as for the commodity space, I've already mentioned that a lot of the commodity prices have crashed, and then we have our gold price also dropping quite significantly, over the past one month. All right, so but this green region, right, which was the previous high done like few years back, okay, the previous all-time high few years back, right, and this region has been supporting quite well. It refuses to close below this region, and it rallied back up over the past 1 week. Okay, so we like to see how this one will turns out. Most likely it might form a base here and then do an attempt. So this might take another few more weeks, to go. Then I've received some questions, regarding some of the crude palm oil prices, what caused the Wilmar share price to drop drastically. So it's mainly a lot of the commodity prices, that has dropped in price over the past 1 to 2 months. Like this, your wheat futures and your corn futures. So all these prices drop, and on top of that, of course, you have your crude palm oil prices drop, and so that's why that caused the drop in price in Wilmar, Olam, and all these crude palm oil related companies. Okay, so for the stocks, what should we be looking at? Okay, the past 2 weeks I've mentioned about tech stocks. The tech stock is coming up. The those tech related, okay, will be good. Prime to move up. Okay, so this was UMS. So I've mentioned about this somewhere around here already, and then it has been rallying up for 2 weeks. Okay, to this the past 2 days it started to break new highs again. I mean, all this have already started to move off already, so we should not be chasing prices. We should be all looking at pullbacks, wait for nice rest, before you look for entry. This is AEM. Okay, AEM has been trading upwards, so this would be a potential. So we will like to wait for it to pull back, for a nice rest, and then look for a new trend to so-called turn of trend for it to continue its upwards movement over a long period. Okay, so it's been a long-term uptrend. Okay, we'd like to see if this 200-day moving average holds, for it to pull back and then continue its upwards movement. Okay, similarly, Franken has been consolidating sideways for a while, so probably you should watch out for this. Okay, so if the tech companies are still continue to rally and this started to have a move, do watch out for it. Last week I've talked about Baba. All right, I think it's best that we look at the US market, which is their main listing. Okay, so this Alibaba has been down for 35%, and this 200-day price, right, is a big support for them. Okay, so after a strong rally, it also has a strong drop. Okay, and then do bear in mind that we at this drop, right, after 3 days of drop, there is an increase in volume, what it shows that there is a lot of trading has happening here. Most likely a lot of people that has been caught here are already selling, cutting loss, or crying out loud. So I believe there might be some short-term rebound in the near term. So we just have to observe. So at this moment, the the real support here is roughly about 200 205 area. Okay, so we see how this will turns out. Okay, Thomson Medical, they have a stellar earnings before that. It's probably this earnings was due to some so-called accounting I will call accounting methods. Okay, that they declare a loss here and then they put it in here, and their so-called profit skyrocket lah, so that's why the price jump off, okay, or move off. So their earnings last previously was in February, so the next one that we should be expecting is coming in July or August. Okay, so with the prices being very quiet in this fashion and trading sideways, do watch out for any movement prior to the earnings, because there might be some anticipation of good earnings to come. Okay, so do watch out for this, mainly because I think is they are one that doing a lot of the vaccination for government contracts. Okay, so do watch out for them. Okay, this is nano film. It is basically doing a very nice pattern like a cup and a handle. No, this so-called handle pattern is quite tight, and it seems to be itching on the upside. So do watch out for the break out about 557, 558 area. So once it break off, it might start a new trend, something like this. Okay. This is SATS. Okay. Made known that I prefer SATS as compared to SIA. And so right now we have all the indicators or your long-term indicators pointing upwards. And yesterday we had this so-called rally, to break above 20-day and 50-day moving average, with the easing coming and traveling, opening of borders to most likely to happen, over the next 1 to 2 months, or probably end of the year. So there might be expectation that future earnings should be better. Okay, so do watch out if this might start to turn back up to your 450 area. Okay, the past 1 to 2 weeks there are a lot of interest in REITs. Okay, so I'm not too sure what's the story, but there's a lot of strong move done by the REITs. Okay, so we have your Maple Logistics. No, it continue to make new high. But this today was a big drop. All right, so but nonetheless, it's still in a very, I would say, volatile, up and down move. But overall, it's on the upside. Okay, so this is Maple Logistics. Okay, this is Maple Commercial. Similarly, yesterday it tested its previous high, and then there is some selling. So most likely this selling comes from people that are already trapped here. They start to see some small little profit, and then they took profit. Okay, so we see how it turns out. Okay, so most likely the trajectory is still on the upside. This is Landlease REIT. Okay, deal mainly in your like 313 property, so, and some Italian properties. Okay, and what we have is a very strong move over the past 1.5 months. Okay, with this breaking out is consolidation and trading to new highs. Okay, so this is Landlease REIT. So what we want is for it to pull back, and look for opportunities to enter at a lower price. Okay, so similarly for Starhill Global REIT, there's some strong move over the past 1 week, breaking out of this so-called previous high resistance. Okay, so seems a good news. It will be continued its uptrend movement. OUE Commercial REIT, after consolidating sideways for a very long time, it had a strong move. Similarly, the past 1 week. Okay, breaking is this high resistance. Okay, consolidation high done in last year June. Okay, so take like 1 year to break this high. Okay, so most likely from here it might start to trend up slowly. SPH REIT also had a similar move, trust move. Most likely it's going to turn uptrend. All right, so overall I will say the REITs market are strong, or turning stronger. Mainly business are coming back. Okay, we'll talk about business, right? There's a lot of fear that because of pandemic, that the Singapore economy is not doing well. People are not spending. Shops are closing down, or shops are empty. Okay, so but based on my personal experience, like last week, I went to a cafe and have a brunch with my wife. And we do know that the cafe is quite empty. Okay, at 11 plus, it serves all day breakfast. And what happens is that I noticed that their so-called grab order is like continuously coming in. Right on their wall they always have like 10 over orders pasted there, and it's new orders are coming in, and they are and the waiter and waitresses are busy packing food, mainly a lot on delivery. So even though shops are empty, they still have a lot of orders through their online orders, through Grab delivery or Food Panda and all this. Okay, and if you look at some of the so-called retail boutiques, you might think that, hey, people have no money, they lost their job because of pandemic or such. But if you look at, like, what I call Value Max. Okay, if you look at Value Max, some of their results is like so-called improving, mainly because of higher gold prices. Okay, and they are giving quite a good dividends, like 5% yield. Not just Value Max, you have your Maxi Cash also giving the quite similar, 4.5% dividend. Okay, and you can see that their revenues are growing over the past uh, 2 years, since the lockdown happened. Okay, and I do not know whether it's because people pawn their goals with them, because they need money, but or they because they have money and then they are buying more jewelry and stuff. Okay, so you can see that in the US that a lot of people are also spending. So meaning to say, like, in our Singapore context, right, there is a domestic demand. People are pent up, and they are willing to spend locally. Okay, so even like I did a staycation, at Sentosa Sofitel, and I'm surprised that there are a lot of guests there, and mainly they are locals, spending some staycation time. Okay, so though hotels may not be getting like their so-called 90% occupancy rate, but I believe they are at so-called 50, 60, 70% rate, which business is still good, business is still ongoing. Okay, so I would say we are still in a trajectory whereby we should be getting better in terms of the economy, in terms of business. Okay, so that's why I think all these REITs are starting to come back. People start to see value and see how they are resilient through this crisis. Okay, so this is Asian Pay TV. All right. Since this collapse, or the previous collapse in price, because of borrowing money and paying high dividends, okay, and not able to sustain that, okay, and then they declared that they are paying a nominal dividend for 3 years. Okay, so the 3 years is going to be up soon. All right, and suddenly we start to see some big movement, breaking above the 200-day moving average. Okay, so the most important part from here is that, are we able to see a sustained move upwards? Mainly, we have to see whether the earnings are there, and will there be demand for their shares again. Will their dividend rate starts to go back up? Okay, so we like to see if this will rest, and then see how it rests, before we make a decision on this. So what are the possible stocks that we still can invest in? I've talked about Ascenders REITs, the past few weeks, and this is Mapletree Industrial. All right, and what they have been trading sideways for some time, but you can see that it's trying to inch higher, and probably it might follow the way of Maple Logistics, starting to move up higher. Okay, so they recently, I think, finished their acquisition of data centers, so I believe they are a little bit more future proof, building in industrial warehousing, and now we have data centers. Okay, so this is I would say this would be a good um, buy or investment for the long run for dividends. Since I've mentioned about Ascenders REIT, let's take a look how it's doing. Okay, so this is Ascenders REIT, and I've mentioned that Ascenders REIT has been trading in a consolidation, between these two range. So it's mainly like between 280, 290, all the way to about 3, 3, 315, 310. Okay, so we would like to see how in this recent move, right, is it able to test this portion, and then like Landy Street like that break above this. So once it breaks above, it's most likely going to turn back uptrend. Okay, so we just have to be patient. Okay, overall their results over the past few earnings, right, seems to be getting better. Okay, so and their dividends is starting to get back up. So buying at this area right now is like 4.8 4.9% yield. Okay, they are giving 5 is because they round up the so-called dividend given.